Welcome back to this custom-tailored deep dive. Today, we are unpacking the Bosham Estates Prime Central London Letting Survey for 2024. And, well, the numbers point to a massive demographic shift right at the top of the luxury rental market. Okay, let's unpack this. Wealthy Americans are actually now the single largest overseas tenant group driving London's top-tier market.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
they are pushing the total value of long-let rental transactions to a staggering £379 million.
yeah, that 379 million is an incredible figure.
Mm.
And looking at the drivers behind that number gives us a fascinating window into global movement. The survey specifically attributes a portion of this 2025 forecast to wealthy American renters relocating in response to the upcoming Trump presidency.
Right. And to be completely clear for you listening, we are not taking sides or endorsing any political viewpoint here. We are simply reporting the demographic motivations that are explicitly outlined in the source text.
Exactly. We're strictly looking at the data. And the data shows this shift is pushing a significant number of people to seek a temporary base abroad.
It really shows how global macro trends completely alter the fabric of local neighborhoods. Because of this influx, Chelsea, the SW3 postcode in particular, saw a massive 21% surge in rental transactions over just 1 year.
It has essentially been crowned the new golden postcode. It's a perfect example of how international shifts land on local streets. Renters who might have previously targeted areas like Fulham or South Kensington are now gravitating to the established glamour and convenience of Chelsea.
But the story isn't just about where they are moving, it's about how they are renting. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the absolute peak of this boom. The highest short-let deal recorded in 2024 was a 5-story house in Notting Hill that rented for an astonishing £45,000 a week.
A week. That is just
A
very...
week,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And for that price, you're essentially getting a private resort. It's an 8,000 square foot home with a subterranean leisure wing, a swimming pool, a spa suite, a cinema room, and a fully stocked bar.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of a deal like that. You might wonder why someone with that level of wealth doesn't simply buy the property or sign a multi-year lease. A major factor is global uncertainty, particularly regarding UK tax policy.
Right, because last year, the UK's non-dom tax status was undergoing review.
Precisely. That's the status that essentially allows wealthy foreign nationals to avoid UK taxes on their overseas income. So instead of committing, these ultra-high net worth individuals adopted a sort of try before you buy mentality.
And they want the luxury, but they also want the flexibility to easily pack up if the tax landscape shifts against them.
Exactly. And that demand for immediate luxurious flexibility drove short-let house prices up nearly 34% year over year.
Now, while the ultra-wealthy are testing the waters with these wild short-term mega mansions, there's a totally different dynamic happening with wealthy families putting down roots. It's not just about penthouse apartments anymore. We are seeing a significant migration toward northwest London to neighborhoods like St. John's Wood.
Which makes perfect sense when you consider what these relocating families actually need. They aren't looking for a quick, glamorous city base. They need substantial living space, private gardens, and close proximity to top-tier international education, like the American School in London.
That shift in preference has actually moved the needle on the broader market. The overall market share for apartment rentals dropped down to 60% last year, simply because the demand for detached houses with outdoor space has gained so much traction among these incoming demographics.
Families are willing to trade the immediate center of the city for a neighborhood feel, as long as the luxury standard remains uncompromised.
So, what does this all mean when you step back and look at the entirety of this survey? What is the big takeaway for you, our listener?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows that London remains an incredibly resilient safe haven for global wealth. However, the city is actively having to adapt to the temporary, highly flexible needs of its newest residents. The real estate market there isn't just about selling permanence anymore. It's about providing highly curated, luxurious flexibility.
Which brings us to a final, somewhat puzzling detail to leave you with. We've spent this deep dive talking about a broadly booming market, surging prices, and massive international demand.
But buried in the data is this contradictory fact.
Yes, the absolute top of the market. The ultra-prime deals over £10,000 a week actually dropped last year. They fell from 51 deals in 2023 down to just 37 in 2024. So we leave you with this to ponder. If the luxury market is booming and global demand is surging, why is the absolute peak of the ultra-luxe mountain suddenly shrinking?